Welcome back to the Nuptial Nonsense Podcast, brought to you by Oak and Willow Event Co. I'm your host, Valerie, and my awesome co-host, Riley, is back with me today. The ER could spare her. And we have an amazing special guest. Don't get embarrassed, okay?
Thank you.
This is Emily. She's a Chattanooga native, mother to 3 boys, which we will be talking about, a badass business owner, and I'm so excited that you're here.
Thank you so
You're
much,
welcome.
Valerie.
Okay, tell us about your businesses. Tell us your socials. Where can we find you? All the things.
Okay, first of all, I own Legendary Bartenders and Event Staffing, and we have bartenders, servers, dishwashers, coordinator assistants, golf cart drivers. So we have
All the things.
all the things staffing for your event. I'm mostly on Facebook, which is Legendary Bartenders and Event Staffing. Then on Instagram and TikTok, it's Legendary Bartenders. But I do have a website, Legendary Bartenders and Event Staffing.com. You can go there. You can answer like 5 short questions and get a free quote really quick.
So I went to your website the other day. I think you had like posted it on something. I don't know. Anyway, I often surf vendors' websites to figure out like who's user friendly and whose is not.
Yeah.
Number one, it's user friendly
Thank you.
for sure. And I love that you have like the breakdown of all the stuff that you offer because it's like easily laid out. You know what I mean? Like you don't have to like search for all the crap to. I hate that.
Yeah.
Just personally. So thanks for being awesome.
The
That's
very
it.
first thing that you see is like the service I can provide and the price.
Yeah.
I mean, let's talk
Yes.
about that first. That's what
Yes.
you really want to know.
Yes.
Mhm.
If there's not pricing on websites, I'm immediately like, X, I'll
I
go to the next
know.
one. Like, I'm not even going to waste my time with that.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to talk about family dynamics today because y'all came for me in my last podcast talking about the groom's mom. Like, whoa, chill out on the DMs. Okay, it's fine. Like, it's okay. And I feel like I didn't even say anything crazy. Like, I was trying to give helpful tips to make the mom of the groom feel special and included. So, like, okay, boy mom, what's your take on that?
I have to agree with you.
Thanks.
I do feel like the mother of the groom feels kind of like lost in the
Yeah.
sauce a little bit, or
For sure.
she's like walking around. She wants to help in any way
sure.
that she can.
Yes.
And I thought it was great that you were giving people like examples of things they could do for her.
Thank you.
Because like you said, like this is the mother of the man that you're marrying.
Yeah. And
Like,
that's
she's-
important.
Yes. And so I don't really get emotional at weddings because I've been there
Yeah.
so many times.
Yeah.
But every time they do the mother-son dance,
Yeah.
get a little emotional because
You're
I
like,
will
"That's
be
gonna
going
be me."
through this
Yeah.
one day.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that that's like what I really want to like tell people on this podcast about the last podcast is like, I genuinely was not trying to be disrespectful. Like I was genuinely trying to say like, this is potentially why the moms feel this way. And
Yeah.
like, here's ways to avoid her feeling this way because like, it's a special day all the way around. So like, we want them to be included, you know?
I think a great thing that people could do for the mother of the groom is let her have like a lot of control on, not control, but like input
Mhm.
and have some planning
Yeah.
time for rehearsal.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
because it's usually on the groom side of the family
Yes.
to do that.
Yes.
And maybe let the moms reach out to me about rehearsal and we can do like menu planning. I can send them a
Yes.
shopping list.
Yeah.
They can be part of that in such a big way and take
Yes.
that off of the bride and groom's plate.
For sure. And that is something I think I did not mention last time is like traditionally speaking, the rehearsal dinner itself is like the groom's family's responsibility. And so like I had a meeting a couple days ago with it was a bride, her grandmother, the groom's mom. Unfortunately, her mom was not able to make it, but the groom's mom is like going all out for rehearsal dinner because she was like, I want it to be special. I want it to be beautiful. Like they're doing table setting. They're doing like this whole like beautiful setup with the tables. And she's like so passionate and like into that.
Yeah.
And that's what reminded me is like, dang, I should have mentioned that on the podcast. But like, that's definitely something else is like groom moms, listen, the rehearsal dinner is your time to shine for sure. So like run with it. Do whatever you want to do for it.
It is because what are my future daughter-in-laws going to do? I'm in the wedding business. You want me to sit down? You want me to not do anything? Like, wait, what? We're part of this too.
Yeah.
For sure.
Hire me for your coordinator so I can make sure Emily acts right when her sons get married.
Yes.
Okay, but then also like from the family dynamic standpoint, like, okay, I'm gonna talk about our family dynamic because it's like people get confused, I think, when they like see our family. So like I'm the youngest of my siblings. Okay. So my brother and sister are 16 and 14 years older than me. Okay. We all have the same
They
parents.
started over.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was the surprise.
Okay.
Okay. So like my brother does not have any children. My sister has 2 boys. So like my nephews that I talk about, that's them. So the one that I call my big nephew, he's very tall, like he is a big guy, but he's also only 6 years younger than me. So we grew up like
Close.
siblings.
Yeah.
Yes. Like that is my guy. So, but when people see us, they're always confused, like, oh, that's your nephew? Like that's your, and then like the one that I call my baby nephew is only 2 years older than her. So like they have grown up together, And so that always like throws people off. And then like my big nephew now has a daughter. She's only 2 years younger than my youngest daughter. So like we're all 2 years, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And then he also has a baby boy now that is 6 months old. And like people ask her, or like when she talks about him, she's like, oh yeah, my nephew. But it's really her cousin.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like our whole family dynamic is like so weird.
We're close. That's the end of it.
I mean, yeah, we are close. Like somebody told me one time, they're like, your family's like a cult. Like y'all, I don't know what to tell you about that. But I think it's all that to say, like, different family dynamics like that, like, definitely play a factor into, like, I feel like the wedding planning process, because, like, some people wouldn't necessarily, like, if I was to get married, like, I would want my nephews in my wedding. Like, I would want my great niece in my wedding. I would want my great nephew in my wedding. And, like, a lot of people I feel like would not, that's not the
Understand
norm, but, like, for my family, because it's so, like, spread
Close.
out, and because we are close,
Yeah.
like, that's how I would want that. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
so, like, I think it's okay to have, like, you can have a weird family dynamic and, like, make it work. Like, it's totally okay about that.
You can.
Yeah.
I think the family dynamic thing from my point of view as like your bartenders and
Mhm.
stuff is like when people are menu planning, they're
Mhm.
like, oh, but my cousins like this kind of drink.
Yeah.
And then my mom likes this kind of
Mhm.
wine. And sometimes it's like you're people pleasing for the
Mhm.
family.
Yeah.
But you don't always have to do that, friends. You
No.
don't have to do that.
You don't have to do that
Even
at
though
all.
your family is like so close knit
Yeah.
and you want to people please everybody, you don't
Yeah.
have to.
Yeah. So I feel like in our case, like when you get married one day, she's single, y'all. She is single.
Okay, that's so weird. Cut that.
Like one day when you get married, like I feel like those things could potentially be taken into consideration because like you are close with them. You know what I mean? Like,
I mean, I'm not gonna like change my drink menu based on what my cousin likes.
no, but I also think that like because of our dynamic, regardless of what you choose, because I've seen some family members that are like,
You
oh,
still
they
have to
don't
be
have that.
respectful. Like the family has to be respectful. It doesn't matter what the dynamic is. Like
Yeah.
family or not, the guests need to be respectful, period. Like
Yeah. And I think that they would be, but I know you have probably seen like some not so respectful stuff at the bar.
which is crazy. Like, well,
Because people have come up to me before and been like, they don't have such and such wine. I'm like, I don't, is it at the bar? And they're like, no. I'm like, okay, well then they didn't have that. Like, I
Even
don't know
when
what to
you're-
tell you.
Even when your bar is like open bar, everybody has an opinion.
Yeah,
All
sure.
your friends and family do have an opinion. And so when I consult people, I'm like, what do you like?
Yeah.
What do you guys like? It's not about everybody else.
Yeah.
And then also, just because some of your family likes super expensive wine,
Yeah.
you don't have to do that either.
Yeah.
friends.
Yes.
you have to
No.
stay true to yourself, and
No.
you can't. I mean, not everyone. You can never make everybody happy. Like,
Yeah, for sure. And I think that needs to be like one of the biggest takeaways is like, I've said this, I think on every single episode I've done so far, I tell every single one of my couples this, like, this day is about you as the couple. You are the guest of honor, period. This day is about what you want and your vision. And like, if you want to drink Moscato from Costco, drink Moscato from Costco.
because in 20 years, when you're talking about your wedding, if you're talking about it to somebody, you're not going to be like, yeah. And I had my aunt's favorite high noon. They don't care. They don't care. And you don't care. No one cares. Have
You're
what
probably not
you
gonna
have.
remember.
Yeah. Have what you want. Like,
Aunt's favorite kind.
like that's no one. That's not, that's
I
not
think
important.
my favorite story that has to do with like family dynamics, right?
Mhm.
Is like so many people are worried about, are they going to behave?
Yeah.
Are they going to be?
Yeah.
My family is so crazy. All this.
Mhm.
I've even had a bride send me a picture of the groom's mother.
Yes.
And then she's like, this
Yes.
is the one.
Mhm.
Be careful with her.
Yes.
Like, watch out for her.
That's so funny.
Yes.
We do.
That's
we
like those
do-
walking trails where they have like pictures of snakes that are like known on that trail, and they're like, watch out for these ones.
with the picture.
Yeah,
and everything.
that's so
The
funny.
description.
It's like these spiders are on here often. Don't
Yeah.
get bitten by those.
Pictures are very helpful to your
Mhm.
to your bartenders.
Yeah. I've had that too. Mine was the bride's mom, though, ironically. In that situation, the groom's mom was phenomenal. I've actually done 2 weddings for that family now, but the bride is estranged from her mom. There's some like addiction and mental health issues, which is sad, but it is what it is.
Mhm.
Same thing. They sent me a picture, and the groom's mom, she's feisty. Like she's rowdy. And she texts me and she's like, if this B word, see, mom, I'm trying to not cuss this episode. If this B word shows up, I will slide tackle her in the parking lot.
Real.
And I was like, okay, well, just I'll handle it. It's okay. Like, I don't want you to like mess up your dress. But she didn't come. Like, she ended up not showing up, so it was fine. But yeah,
I feel like I have a different like perspective on family dynamics because of my job, like,
Yeah.
because I'll see like patients like not being taken care of by their families, or like families not making the best decision for the patient because they only think about themselves.
Mhm.
And that's crazy. And it's the same thing in the wedding. Like, you need to
Yeah.
make the best decision for yourself. And like, this isn't about your family because like sometimes the family only cares about the family, unfortunately.
Yeah.
Like,
So true. When we hop on a call, like the Zooms to like consult
Mhm.
and talk through, they'll be like, my mom's on here,
Mhm.
my other mom, the groom's mother's on here. It'll be the dads a lot of
Mhm.
time. And then they have so many like opinions
Mhm.
that sometimes I do have to kind of take control of the conversation
mhm.
Yes.
and redirect like the questions to the bride or to the
Yes.
groom, because they do try to take over.
Yes.
Well, I remember one time
Mhm.
mom was on a call and like for something, like for one of the weddings, but I don't remember what specifically the topic was. And there was like the bride talking, and then this other lady would like chime in and be like, well, I was thinking, and I like sat up off the couch and I was like, who was talking? Who was that? To mom. And mom, like when we got off the call, she was like, that's like whoever it was. And I was like, you can have an opinion, but like there's some stuff where sometimes like you need to just be quiet in the most
Yeah.
respectful way possible. Like you need to just not
Yeah.
speak. Like,
And also, like, are you paying for this? Like, that is something I've had to ask my brides before. Like, they'll be like, well, my aunt, she said she thinks it should be da da da. And I've literally said, is your aunt paying for this wedding? Because if not, she does not have an opinion. Like,
Let's talk about that for a second, because multiple times, like I have a few rules, right? So like we do not serve anything to anybody until they say I do.
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So when we're like setting up, I try
Yeah.
to set up early, but when we're setting up and then people are like, can I get
Yeah.
a drink and stuff like that? We're always no.
yeah,
Okay. And so they'll come up to the bar and be like, well, I paid for all this. And it's like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah.
this is a rule.
Yeah.
Like, why does your
and that's your
family do
business.
that?
Like,
yeah,
like literally your business. Like,
Mhm.
yeah,
no.
yeah,
Yeah, they always like to pull that I paid
Yeah.
for this card so that
Mhm.
they can get drinks early. Or they'll be like, let me get 5 Bud Lights. I brought this stuff.
Yeah.
Let me get 5 of those.
Mhm.
No, you can get one in each hand.
yeah,
We have to control the chaos,
Mhm.
yeah,
the family chaos.
yeah, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, I have seen that happen at several weddings. Like, if especially in that period where like y'all are finishing up, setting up, not necessarily just you, just bartenders in general, and then like the family, like the guests haven't arrived yet. The family is like just kind of milling around, like we're about to be ready for them to go into hiding for ceremony. And I think it's a lot of nervous energy a lot of times.
Yeah.
But I have heard some bartenders just tell them a flat out lie. Just be like, oh, I'm so sorry, like we're not ready yet. Or like, I'm so sorry, like it's not on ice yet, you know, and like,
You know how I fix that? Bar signs that say bar is open, bar is closed. And we put it up
oh yeah.
and it just
Yeah.
controls.
And you're
the
like,
thing.
read this on.
It's, we're closed right now. We'll be open later.
Yeah.
Come back and see me.
Well, moms are like all like I'll have like because we see people that are like 18 and up, and people like moms will come to like check their kids in, and I'm like, I have to have the patient, you know, right here to tell me, and I'm like, what's going on? And they're like, oh, well, they said this and this, and I'll have to be like, okay, what's going
Yeah.
on with you? Like
Yeah.
the patient, like I can't like
Yeah.
feel you can't feel their pain for them. And there's times when I've had to been like, how are we related? Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Go like
Yeah. I mean, unless they're like incapacitated, but like, I think, but as a mom, I'm just going to tell you, like, that's hard to let that go. Like, if you were having to go to the emergency room, I mean, it's different because you work there, but like, if you were having to go to the emergency
I'd be
room,
like,
Even
be
when you're
quiet.
50, we're going to be
Just-
bothering you. Okay.
yeah, that's the hard thing. But I mean, I definitely hear you. Like, you do have to kind of like let that go a little bit. Just to forewarn you, having adult children is by far the hardest part of parenting. It is not, in fact, the toddler stage at all. It is the adult child stage.
It's the them driving away in the car by
Yeah.
themselves legend.
Yeah.
Another thing that happens too with like the family on multiple occasions is like sometimes it's the bride's dad usually. Like
Yes.
they'll just call
Mhm.
and they'll be like, we're not going to do that. We're going to do this. And it's like, can I talk to them?
Yeah.
Can
Yeah.
you guys stop making decisions
Yeah.
for them?
Yes.
So that can be a hard thing that I think people need to keep in mind when they're planning
Mhm.
and with their, you guys can't be just reaching out to our vendors.
Yeah.
Like you gotta.
Just making decisions. Now, I have had brides that have told me before, like I have one currently actually that she's like super busy. She's finishing up her master's, and so is he, the groom. And so she had told me when she booked me, she was like, "Look, my mom and sister are doing this. Like, I really don't have time for it. So you're going to communicate with them mostly, and whatever they say is
That
like, that's fine.
happens.
And that's fine. We just need to know that ahead of time. You
Yeah.
know, like if dad is in charge of the bar stuff, then like that's totally fine. But like we have to know that stuff. Like we're not just going to, like I've said it before, I feel like we, not just planners, but like all the vendors, like we are the couple's advocate. So like we have to
Yes.
do what's best for them and per your contract, you know?
Yeah. And then like, can you please tell like your dads and your moms and your grandmas that we got this?
Yeah.
We're a team. We're vendor. What'd you say?
Yeah.
Friend or
Frienders.
vendors.
Yeah.
We're a team.
Yeah.
So we're not turning against each other
Yeah.
just because you say so.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I think that's important too, is like, I think I talked about that before, is like you hire professionals because they're professional.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like you hire, like I have been hired by a bride because like the bar recommended, like they didn't have a coordinator yet. So like the bar recommended, or like, obviously I have like a preferred vendor list that like I have worked with these people and it is like a team, like we're doing it together. It's not just like, well, Emily just does what she wants. So if you want to hire her, like that's on you. Like that's not ever, you know what I mean? Like that's just not, it is very much like a team mentality.
You said this before too, Valerie, when you were telling people to listen to your coordinator
Yeah.
when they're trying to tell you which vendors to get.
Yes.
Because even if you do have like crazy controlling family and
Mhm.
all the opinions are out there, you don't want to hurt anybody's feelings, get you a nice, strong coordinator and then
Yeah.
listen to them. Yeah. Listen
Yeah.
to her, take
Yeah.
her opinions, and pick the vendors that
Yeah.
coordinators tell you to pick. They know what they're
Yes.
talking about.
And like the podcast that actually drops next week, I had one of my past brides came as my guest, and she talks about that too. Like, trust your planner. Like, you have
Yeah.
to have somebody that you can trust. And like, yeah, I mean, I'm trying to advocate for you and give you advice on what's best for you and like for your budget, for your vision, for, you know what I mean? Like, that's just that's why we're here. Like, that's why you hired me.
Yes.
Just let me do my job. Sheesh. But Anyway, okay, you haven't been here for a couple episodes. How are things in the ER?
They're the things in the ER for sure. I was thinking about we had a like when y'all were talking about or when we were talking about like doing
Why
what's
are you
best.
talking so softly? You are so
Doing what's
loud
best
by
for the
nature.
patient.
Like,
I'm really tired. I had a rough day yesterday, guys. Okay. Anyways, there was this patient that came up to me. I was out front and she was like, like I didn't drive here, like someone dropped me off. My ride's on the way. And he really needs me, like I really need to be discharged so that like he can get me. Okay. I was like, okay, well, we can't discharge you until we're ready. Like, like your stuff's not done and we'll discharge you when we're ready. And I was like, I'm not sure how long it'll be, but like she only had one more test. I was like, it shouldn't be that long, whatever. She goes and sits down. She comes back up like 10 minutes later and she was like, he's getting really irritated that he's out there waiting and I just want to know how long it'll be. I said, ma'am, in the most respectful way possible, I'm not worried about him. I said, you are the patient.
yeah.
I'm here to make sure that you get the care you deserve. And I do not care if he is getting irritated. He should not have come to expect you to just be discharged. That's not how this works.
Yeah.
I said, he can come inside and wait, but I like respectfully don't care if he's mad. Sorry.
Is that not so like correlate with weddings? I feel like too, though. Like it's the same thing.
And she was on the phone with him and she was like, okay, thank you. And I was like, go sit down. Thanks.
Tell him to come in here.
Yeah. Matter of fact, tell him to come tell me next time.
Riley advocates for her.
Yeah. I was like, he's not my patient. He's not my person. He's not on my board, is he? Then I don't care. Like, if he's not on my patient tab, not worried about him. Like, that just is what it is.
That's how I feel about my couples. Like, honest to God, that's how I feel about my couples. Like, unless I have like worked with the parents or the bride or groom has said like, please listen to these people. Like, I do not care what Aunt Susie has to say. Could not care less.
Yeah.
Like,
and that's
so
why
sorry,
sometimes
Aunt
I'm
Susie.
like, who are you? Like, not to be rude, but I'm like, who? Like, what? No. Yeah, I had they've already heard this story. Actually, Emily hasn't, but I had a lady yesterday. My shift is 7 a.m. to 7 p.m., by the way. 7:15 a.m. I walked in this lady's room and I went in there to get her mother's temperature, And I was like, hey, just like that. Hey, I'm going to take your temperature. She is honestly, yelling's not even the right word. Screaming is really more like the right word in my face about how her mother needs Zofran and hasn't gotten it. And she's been asking for hours and like screaming at my face. And I just looked at her for a second because it's 7:15 in the morning. And I was like, number one, do not speak to me that way or anyone, actually. And number two, if you do, again, I will have you escorted. Like, we're not doing that. And so I walked out and I went and told my charge nurse and another one of my nurses. They're like, they're moms in real life and they're like moms in the ER. And I went back in and they told me that she had in fact had her Zofran 45 minutes before that interaction. So
yeah,
I went back in there and I was like, I'm going to take your mom's temperature like I came in here to do originally. And then I'm going to leave. And I will say something about maybe getting more Zofran because she actually had it 45 minutes ago. And I took her temperature and I walked out and my charge nurse went and talked to her and the lady's like crying and she's like, I'm so sorry I was rude to you. And I said, okay. And I just walked out because I'm like, I mean, okay, like whatever. You
should be sorry. First of all, it's 7:15 in the morning. Like,
because I told my mom, first of all, I haven't had my energy drink and I haven't eaten. Do not speak to me in general. Definitely don't yell at me. Okay. And like I told mom, I'm 21. This lady was like in her 50s. What makes you think it's okay to speak to anybody like that? But if someone was speaking to her daughter like that, that's insane. Like, you don't speak to people that way, period. That's the takeaway. Don't be rude. Don't speak to people like that ever. Ever, especially at 7:15 in the morning. That's crazy. Sit down. Yeah.
Sit down.
That's crazy.
Have you ever had to like escort anybody's like mothers or anybody away from the bride so that they're not in higher stress?
Yes. I was shaking my head no at first, but yes, one time.
Yeah.
One time. It was her mom, and like they had sort of a tense relationship anyway. And I think it was literally like the week of the wedding, and she was like, oh yeah, she actually is going to come. Like it was like very back and forth. Well, then she came and had all kinds of opinions the day of. And the bride literally walked up to me. She like grabbed my arm and she was like, Valerie, get her away from me before I lose my shit.
See?
Sorry, Mom.
You gotta.
And so I was like, okay, girl, I got you.
Bleep.
So I like walked up to her and I was like, hey, can you come help me do something over here at the welcome table? Because again, it's not always the groom's mom, not always.
No.
And I think she,
But sometimes it is. So let's
98%.
calm down, guys. Okay. Don't be mean to my mother. Do not be doing that.
and also if you're going to talk crap on the stuff that I post, like say it in the comments, like say
Yeah,
it with
be
your whole
public
chest.
about it, guys.
Don't DM me. I thought it was hilarious though. The funniest part of that, and then I'll get back to answering your question. The funniest part of that is if y'all knew how much of an unbothered queen I really am, like we were like dying laughing. I've told some of my vendor friends about it, and
But I'm not. So don't be mean to my mother. Okay. Period.
Always pause.
Yeah. Do not be mean to my mom.
she's like, no, they did not say that to you. I'm like dying laughing, telling her. She's like, oh no, let me get the login, Mom. I'm gonna see
Yeah.
something.
Y'all
I'm
hate to
like-
see me in those DMs. Calm down, guys. Calm down.
But anyway, in that case, I think she probably realized like this is such a monumentous moment and
Monumental.
whatever.
When she just lies, makes up words.
It makes sense.
Yeah.
though. Go ahead.
I'm actually an English minor. It's fine. So she had missed out on all that. I think it was like the realization of like, I don't have this great relationship with her. This like huge moment's about to happen. I've had no like say so in it. I've had no involvement in it. I think it was just her like realizing.
That is sad, though.
It is sad.
I mean,
but,
that doesn't
like,
mean that you can come in and act crazy, but that does make me sad for her.
Yeah, and she actually wasn't rude to us, which is surprising because usually they are. She was like being like, she was just like making comments to the bride, and I was like, we're done. So we went to the welcome table, and I was like, hey, look, if you could just tell me this, and I was like, so, it's a stressful day for everybody. Let's all just take a breath. Like let's all just take a breath. And she like kind of looked at me like,
What is happening? Yeah.
But she calmed down a little bit after that. Like I think having somebody else check her on it, she was like, oh.
Yeah, because sometimes you're just not aware of like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Your behavior. Like,
And if they already had that like tense dynamic,
especially if
in
you
her-
think you're helping and you're actually just being annoying, like sometimes you can't help that, you know? Like you're doing what you think is best. Like,
yeah, but what's one of my favorite sayings? If you're not helping, you're hindering. So like, just you know,
Emily said, oh,
That's my favorite.
feel free to use that. Feel free to use that.
put it on a t-shirt for chance.
I think also like when you're talking about like family stuff, but when it's wedding day, I'm
Mhm.
just gonna give advice for a second.
Yeah, girl, go ahead.
Okay, when it's wedding day.
Are your listening ears on?
Yeah, take notes.
Let me look into the camera. Okay. So I think like when you have like your bridesmaids and your closest friends and family and everybody's there, they're all getting ready. Like, please don't let people get super drunk.
Yes.
Before the
my gosh,
ceremony.
Yes.
It is so awful. I've
Yes.
seen a groomsman in charge of carrying a bride on his shoulders to come in, and he was completely gone and he was falling backwards, and they had to rush over and catch him.
No.
Then we
No.
have like
That's crazy anyway to
Right?
begin with. That was red flag from the start.
never had a drink from us, by the way. It was all like in the morning
Yeah,
and stuff.
that's
And then
crazy.
I've seen like bridesmaids crying out
Mhm.
of joy, or mothers like, or some of your family getting all extra emotional
Yeah.
because they've been drinking mimosas all morning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And not
Or-
eating. They're not eating anything with
And then
it.
the guys have like their bottle of Woodford in the groom's
Yes.
suite,
Mhm.
and they're drinking beer and stuff like that. So I think like if you feel like your family is a little
Mhm.
out of control, or you're worried about it, then
Mhm.
don't serve any booze to anybody
Yes.
early in the day, please.
Yes. So that reminds me of I did a wedding at the Woodlands last year, and Sanford and Sound was the DJ, which he's phenomenal. So shout out to you, Tyler. They did not have alcohol. It was a very low key, chill. It was like a Wednesday, 3 p.m. wedding, which I love.
Yeah.
They did Chick-fil-A catering. Anyway, the mother of the bride, she had already kind of warned me, like, heads up, she's going through some stuff. And I'm like, okay, aren't we all? So she comes in with 2 bottles of wine, like the big ones, like under her arms. It's like 10 a.m.
I know. No.
I'm like, okay.
it's gonna be
okay.
it's gonna be a day.
Yeah. So she is like shenammered come ceremony time because she has drank both of them by herself and had
Girl.
no food.
Oh.
So she's like trying to get the mic. Like Tyler's like making announcements, like first dance, whatever. And she keeps like, and he's like, I'm like, Tyler, do not let her say a speech. Like the bride was like, do not give her the mic. Like she's going to say some crazy
And if you're the
stuff.
type of person that gets drunk like that, do you want to be embarrassed like that? Because that's embarrassing. You know,
yeah.
like think about that. Think about like if you know you can't handle your alcohol, don't do that.
And
Like
then you gotta give
don't.
a speech.
Yeah, don't.
Yeah.
Just
See
be
that,
self-aware.
but-
You're grown. Come on,
Yeah.
don't do that.
Please.
So just please watch your alcohol intake. But yeah, no, Tyler handled that like a champ and she did not get the mic. Thank God. She ended up not getting it the whole reception. So we were saved for that. But yeah, I got back the pictures and like she's in the background of some like of the reception photos, just like, I mean, she was definitely having a good time, which is great. Like that's what we want. It's a party, it's a celebration, but also like be respectful of the couple. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like that's, I don't know. I feel like that's the whole.
And that's the what we want to tell the family.
Yeah.
Be respectful to the
Yes.
couple. This is their best day ever.
Yeah.
Takeaway, just act your age and be respectful. End of the story. I fear it's bare minimum, but people don't get that. So
Yeah.
just remember that.
Agree with
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah. Use your noggin.
Yeah.
Use your noggin. Yeah. I do go check on my couples like on wedding day. Like I'll go in the suites, specifically the groomsmen. And I'm like, have you had water? Have you had carbs? Like how I try to like fill it out for like how we're, most of the time I've had a few instances specifically with groomsmen that I'm like, Jesus. But overall they're pretty respectful.
Yeah, they are.
But there's always, I feel like out of every wedding party, there's always one. Like it's one groomsman or one bridesmaid that's like the one that you have to watch. Like always, there's one of them.
One of the I'll tell this really quick. This is just a horror story of the whole reason that we're having this conversation. One of the bridesmaids was a sister-in-law of the bride, and she had been drinking all day. Patron.
Oh,
She had her own little bottle of
No.
Patron. And so all day while they're running around in their little robes, Patron.
accessory.
Ends up, ends up getting into it with her man at the wedding. Then the mom gets involved.
No.
Because that's her son.
Yeah.
And then they take it outside, the mom, the dad, the son, his wife. So they're all arguing with her.
Oh my God.
He takes off walking. We can't find him for like 3 hours. We had to call the police.
Are you serious?
Yeah. They were looking for him in the woods and everything. So the end of the night comes and we're all packing up to leave. And then I'm like, who is that? Oh, he was walking out of the woods like 3 hours later. This is why you just, if your family's crazy, you might want to just no booze before.
Just don't do that. Just behave.
don't do
Act your
it.
age. What grown man goes into the woods and comes out 3 hours later at a wedding?
Him.
Don't
Maybe he
do
was
that.
in it.
Don't do that.
Or
At
3
3
hours.
hours.
They were all looking for him in the woods like we were looking for him.
180 minutes.
That's
crazy.
why you make it legendary. You book my bartender,
Period.
Yes.
and we control the chaos.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because I teach everybody, like we literally serve people based off of how you're acting.
Yeah.
What are your manners? How many
Yeah.
times have you been up here?
Yes.
Things like that.
Let me ask you this. We're almost out of time, but I do want to touch on this. I had a bartender company I was working with one time. I was the planner at this wedding and they were there. And so he being the owner of the company was there. And there were several bartenders. Anyway, he walks up to me and he's like, hey, that guy over there, like, we're probably gonna have to, like he needs to be cut off. And I was like, okay. He's like, okay, well, you need to do it. What? I said, you're the bartender. Like, why do you want me to do it? And he was like, no, you're the planner. That's your job. And I was like, no, I don't have insurance for that. Like, that's not my thing. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I said, I'm happy to walk with you. I'm happy to go with you as like support.
Yeah.
So I just want your opinion on that.
When we have to consider cutting somebody off, which is super important, like this is
Yeah.
People's lives are on the
Yes.
line.
Correct. Yeah.
But when that happens, there's a couple of steps we take. So first of all, every bride, and I talk to them about this during our consult, it is mandatory that you have a case of water for us behind that
For
bar.
sure. Absolutely.
And so we use that as a slow down mechanism. So it's
Mhm.
like, drink your medicine, come back and see me. And we
Yeah.
give them a water.
Yeah.
But visually, like we can tell that you're drunk already, we're not over serving you. So then in the instance of, we don't always know what people are drinking.
Yes.
They got stuff in their purse, they got
Yes.
stuff in the car. We know
Yes.
that's happening. But
Yes.
when it comes time to cut somebody off, we definitely communicate that with you, but we just stop serving them. Water is a great thing to have at your bar because it's not like, get away from my
Yeah.
bar, not giving them
Yeah.
something. If you give them something,
Yeah.
because you have to remember they could freak out real
Yes.
easily. So it's like,
Yes.
drink this and come back and see me in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And then I'll go find a coordinator. But it is up to us. We're responsible for that. Also, I would get a coordinator to walk with me.
Yes, for
to
sure.
approach them.
For sure. Yes.
And then especially if they have like alcohol on the table.
Yeah.
Then I come get a coordinator and I'm like, hey, I
Yeah.
see booze over there. Let's go together.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to be aggressive because it's automatic.
Yeah.
It makes people,
Yeah. They're on the defense immediately.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you gotta be careful. But
Yeah.
water's a great way to control that
Okay.
chaos.
Good to know. Good to
Mhm.
know. Thanks again for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
I'm so glad you
Valerie.
came.
Thank you.
Thank you for Covey Creek Venue for letting us shoot this episode here. If you don't know about them, haven't seen them, they have a website. They're on social media. It's one of our absolute favorite places to do a wedding at. They're on our preferred vendor list. They are super accommodating, very hands-on, just the nicest people. It's a beautiful property. Okay, so the next episode, we have a huge announcement. So you're going to want to stay tuned. Huge for us. It's exciting. And yeah, thanks for joining. Have a good day. See you. Bye.
Bye.